age. Yeah, yeah. Great to see you guys. We're live now. Okay. If you're just joining us, please jump in the chat and let us know where you're chiming in from. If you threw a dart at the middle of the U.S., I am right there, Oklahoma. And we are streaming across multiple platforms. And I am so excited that you are here. I don't have all the answers, but I know a lot of people that do. And we have a very special guest. Just a little background on me. I founded Warrior Moms by Bren when my son was medically injured at 22 months of age. And let me tell you, in the last 12 plus years, we have walked through hell. Now we walk through it like we own the place and take water back to those still in the fire. We are now the Warrior Nation. And we are here to empower, help you take back your power and embrace your journey of medical freedom and choice and the freedom to know and choose. Now, I don't claim to have all the answers. What I do know is that we have an amazing guest tonight that's in her golden years, and she has been such a powerhouse influence, she and her husband both, in my own life. And I want you to have the opportunity to get to know her like I do. One moment, I'm going to bring her in. Hey, Nancy, did you make the live?
I am here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Oh, that beautiful Colorado sun. Look at that. We are so glad you're here. And I don't want to steal your thunder. I would love for you to share with our audience, who is Nancy Burianek?
Well, first and foremost, Bren, thank you so much. And as I told you earlier, this has just been a blessing for me because I've had an opportunity to kind of pull some thoughts together that I've actually been thinking a lot about recently. So just as a quick background, first and foremost, I want you to know that I am a Jesus follower. Straight up, that's who I am. And that's one of the things that's most near and dear to my heart. I grew up in Iowa. I graduated from Iowa State. I came out to Boulder, Colorado over 50 years ago. And I am 73 years old. I am in the golden years, I guess. The white hair gives me away. But at 73, I can now attest to the fact I have been married to my husband, John, for 48 years. We met on a blind date. And yes, that worked. And we have really 3 children. Our biological son is 45. He has 3 children. Our daughter, Elsa, is in Ulysses, Kansas, and she has 2 children. And we have a bonus daughter. Well, our son's name is Jason, by the way. And our bonus daughter, Amanda, is 56, and she has 2 of our grandkids. So our grandkids range in age from 8 to 19 now. So that in and of itself is something that is amazing to me.
What a blessing.
Yes, definitely. I taught elementary school here in Boulder for 30 years, and 3 of those years I did staff development. So I was working with teachers, I was working with administrators, I was working with student teachers, and it was just something I loved. I loved working with the parents and with the kids, and it was a blessing. Well, it's now been 19 years, which blows me away, that I've been retired. I was only 53. It was one of those deals. The district came out and said, hey, we want to get rid of, they weren't quite as abrasive about this, but they wanted to get rid of us old guys so they could bring in the new ones, and they were less expensive. Mm-hmm. So I literally had 1 year that I had before I was told it was time for me to retire. And as it turned out, our bonus daughter's Sophia was born that spring, or that fall. It was that fall. And so God was working. I mean, he knew that I was going to be needed in a different capacity, but that was also not something I was totally prepared for. So that's just a quick background. If I could say before we get started, my story is my story. And I know that there are people out there that you might even just be a young person and you don't even have anybody significant in your life, but you have a mom. And your mom's probably getting older. And so I hope you might glean some of the things that I have to say. Some of you are in a stage where you might just be retiring, or you're retired, there are no grandkids, or you don't even have your kids married yet and you wish they were. There are people all over the spectrum, but we all have a mom. And I just want to be able to share my story, and I hope it blesses someone in the audience.
Hallelujah. Yes, and amen. You bless me every time I hear you speak. Now, just a little background between Nancy and I. We were in a company and both really working the business. I noticed a change in she and her husband when they started working with this mastermind group that we are all shaped by. And I wouldn't be here without you and John. So thank you. And just so you guys know, here's her handsome husband of 48 years, did you say?
48.
Yeah. And they are such a team. They complement each other perfectly. And I know there's been some transition lately. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that the last couple of years with health?
Well, and even before I get to that, I want to back up a little bit, because one of the things, having been retired 19 years now, one of the things that I've been able to process, that when I was first retired, we all have this to-do list that, oh, I'm going to get all these things done. Well, that lasts about 6 months, and then you're bored. You want something more than that. But what I found was, what was next? I was retired. I was an empty nester. John was then retired a year after me. And so I went back to some of the things that we've learned. And I came up with my top 3 priorities. So for me, my top 3 priorities that guide my decision making are God, health, and family. Then I was blessed with a principal who gave me a book years ago that was called Don't Retire, Rewire. Now, what I would tell you is, unless you want another job, that's not a book to read. But the gist of the book, what I took away was, take what it is that you loved about your work and come up with those characteristics. So I came up with things like, I love to coach and I love to mentor. I love to continue learning. I wanted to be a part of a team. I wanted to be able to make an impact and connect with others. So when people came to me and said, oh, now that you're retired, are you going to sub? Well, I had my 4 benchmarks, and none of that matched. So I wasn't going to be a sub. What about tutoring? Didn't match any of my list. And so this list and my 3 priorities, my priorities, my benchmarks, that is what guided me to move forward. So that's where now John and I started out together as a team of 2, raised our kids. Now we're both retired, and we're a team of 2 again. And we started looking into various network marketing things, and we loved it. We had a great time, especially one with travel. But what was interesting is, now we're together. We spent a lot of years, he's going his way with his job and I'm going mine, and we're coming together with the kids. But we had to come together ourselves. And if you've ever read the book, 5 Love Languages, mine is quality time. And when I got the grumpiest is when I didn't get to be around John very much. So I am a happy camper that we are together and we're working together, but we had to figure out our roles. I ended up being the one that would take the lead on things. And I'm going to use a sports analogy. John would do the color. So if you've ever listened to sportscasters, somebody's always adding the extra stuff. Well, that was John. He was amazing, and he did the color part. So we did the network marketing things, and then first time ever in all of my life, we got connected with our dear friend, Darren, and we did some professional counseling for almost 2 years. And it totally changed how we interacted. It changed what we were looking for. And we were just surrounded by amazing people like you. We met people from every walk of life. We met people from every ethnic background, every religious background, all over the country. And we had a blast. It was just priceless. And then we did go through, it was 2 years ago in April, where John had some health challenges. And God was with us that whole time and brought us people that we never even knew existed, and they were exactly what we needed. And we got through that, but we got through that because we had such a stronger faith than we had ever had before. And because of that, and with COVID, we were listening online to a church, but then God was putting on my heart, we need to find a church, not just online.
Right.
And so God really put it on our hearts of a church to get to. And we ended up reconnecting with people that we hadn't seen for probably 30 years.
Wow.
And we had Bible studies. And what really was very special for me is that I was asked to be a mentor mom for our mom co-group.
Nice.
Now, I was working the whole time. So it used to be called MOPS. So some of you might have been a part of that, but I was always working. I never had that kind of support. So I didn't really know what I was supposed to do, other than the fact that I had the most dear, wonderful 7 moms. They're all late 20s, middle 30s. They all had one. A couple of them were pregnant and then had babies over this past year because we went from September to May.
Right.
And my role was to be a support. My role was to be an encourager. They would ask me, what did I do during that time? And at one point, now you think about these moms, they've got young ones. They're exhausted. They have no time to themselves. They are trying to potty train for some of them. They are in this place where the world is telling them all of these things and social media is telling them, and they're so confused, and yet they're in a church with a religious group that I don't even like the word religious because it was a faith-based group.
Right.
And my role was to give my perspective. And at one point, because of where they were, they said, please tell us this doesn't last forever. And I had to laugh. But they're also saying, who am I? They've got a kid that's attached at the hip all the time. Who am I as a person now? And then their marriages are changing. So that's their season of life. And it was just a God blessing to me that I could be there to help and support them through that. So what I want you to think about is we all go through different seasons as moms. Yes. My niece's firstborn just had her first baby, and little Kate is 5 weeks old now. If you've been a mom, you know what that season is like. And then you get into the toddlers. Well, right now, our daughter is dealing with her 2 kids that are 12 and 15, and they're getting older, and they're hormonal times. And so you're into that season. But her oldest is also going to be a sophomore in high school next year. So now you get into that season of your kids are getting close to leaving, and then they leave. But you still might have one at home. But eventually you're an empty nester. And then you get into the season of being a parent to your adult children. And that's different. It's exciting. And it's more of a friendship base, which I told my parents of 10 and 11-year-olds that if they were a parent to them at 10 and 11, they would be friends with their children at 25, rather than being their friend when they were 10. That drove me nuts. But so you move into these different these different seasons. And then if your children get married, now you're a mother-in-law. How does that fit in? And then if they have children, now you're a grandma. And that's a whole new season.
Right.
So I just want people to understand that we go through all of these seasons and we go through these times and it's different. And yes, it's change and we don't like change, but I would just encourage you to look at how exciting it can be. But you have to figure it out too and take time to do that. So I am in that season of being a grandma. I have 7 grandchildren, and again, 8 to 19. And I've had to figure out the 15-year-old granddaughter was one that we spent a lot of time with. I mean, she'd paddle down to our bedroom at night when we spent the night, and she'd climb in bed with us, and we got to cuddle and things like that. Well, she's 15.
Right.
She has her own life now. And there are parts of her being little that I miss, but there are so many wonderful things watching her grow up. But I have to have a different role, and I have to figure that out. But I go back to my 3 priorities: God, health, and family. And then I go back to, I want to make a difference. I want to have an impact on my grandkids' lives.
Right.
And so I have 2 scriptures that I use all the time. Proverbs 3:5-6, that trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. That's a key. All your ways acknowledge him and he will direct your paths. And that's where my faith in Jesus has really helped me. The other one is Romans 15:13. May the God of hope bless you with peace and joy as you trust in him, that you may overflow with hope, powered by the Holy Spirit. And that whole thing of hope, where I can look at things and think, oh my gosh, how is that ever going to happen? I pray and I know that God has that in his hand. So as a grandmother, I'm looking at my faith in God. And also when I was teaching, and John's working full time and we're doing all this stuff with the kids, I didn't work out. I wasn't very healthy. And that's one thing John and I have committed to regularly. And I have rheumatoid arthritis, and the best thing I've been able to do is to do a lot of working out. So I'm physically fit, so that the thing that I want to have for my kids is, I want to be right with Jesus. I want to be physically fit so that I can be the best for John, my kids, and my grandkids. And my grandkids forget we're 73 and John's almost 80, because we're supposed to be out there. Well, my grandson, I was trying to throw him a ball so he could practice before he went for his baseball game. He is on the ground laughing hysterically because I cannot throw a baseball. And he thinks it's the funniest thing ever. But I'm out there, and we play pickleball with them. And at times, John and I look at each other and we say, we think they forget how old we are. But I am all about creating memories, and I have to do that in person.
Yes.
So we travel a lot. We've got 365,000 miles on our Chevy Impala because we go to Elsa's, we go to Jason's, and
that's awesome.
We go see our bonus daughter. So what I guess I'm trying to say is, it took me a while. And, it's kind of like when your kids are growing up, you think, okay, I've got this. Everything's good now. And then they have a growth spurt, or they tease, or hormones start in. And it's like, I have to regroup. And you regroup when you're older. And so I guess my final thoughts are, in every season, there's going to be something that is new and different. But the essence is, we still want to be relevant. We still want to make a difference. And I know for me, my kids are right in the middle, their 40s. They're raising their kids. They're working hard. They're taking them to 50 million things because they're doing 4-H and sports and everything else. And I understand that they don't know what we're going through. I didn't know what my parents went through. I wasn't even paying attention to that. So another message that I take away is, don't depend on your kids to help you feel relevant. Because I have friends that want that from their kids. That's not fair. Do I want them to show their appreciation and invite us, which we are blessed that they do that? We just got an invitation to come down and watch a sheep show, Their phone calls make a difference, but we can't depend on that for us to feel valued and relevant. And I have friends that do that. So I'm just saying, just be cautious with that. What I do know is that in my 73 years, I've had ups and downs, and I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed to have the children that I have, the grandchildren that I have, the husband that I have, the people in my life like you, like Darren, and people that that are such strong people of character. And that's just a real quick thing, which I forgot to say earlier, is friendship bases change. And there's loss sometimes. When the kids are growing up, your social group is more, who are they doing 4-H with? 4-H families or baseball families or basketball or volleyball or whatever, football, whatever. And then as you get older, you find that your friends, the true friends, are fewer, but they are so much stronger, and your friendship base is so much deeper. And so there's beauty in all seasons.
Right.
And I start every day with gratitude, and I end every day with gratitude. And I just thank you, Bren, for letting me spew all of this on you.
Well, I love that you are sharing that we have seasons, and be aware of what our parents are going through.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the thick of it with a teenager, and that is not an easy season. And I love that you're bringing this to our attention. And I want to make sure you guys caught this. Really focus on the season and realize that seasons and friendships come and go. I really love how you said that.
Right.
And please let us know where we can find you. I think you're on Facebook, right?
I am on Facebook. It's just Nancy Burianek. And to be honest with you, I'm hit or miss. So if you, that's another part of my story, that social media is not taking a big part of my life these days. But I do appreciate when people post things, and I will always answer, and I'm available. So
okay. Thank you so much for your time, and give John a hug for us. Okay.
I will definitely do that. And thank you again. And God bless each and every one of you that's on. And thank you, Bren.
Be blessed, and happy Mother's Day.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Take care. Bye-bye. Hey guys, I am blown away with all of this. We have people in different seasons. We've already had a brand new mom. Please check out the other episodes on Tuesday. We have another mom tomorrow night, a millennial mom of 4, 7, ages 7 and under. We just heard from Nancy, and I am so blown away at how articulate she was about how the seasons change. Now, many of you know I have a book coming out. This is not an autobiography or a tearjerker. That's our story with my son and his medical injury. This is a mystery, and it's intrigue, and it's fun. And it's set on an island in southern Japan where my son was born. And if you hate romance, intrigue, and suspense, this is probably not the book for you. Now, I will be reading excerpts from that in the coming episodes. I just want you to know we talk about a lot of this in the book. holding space for each other, recognizing the season we're in, finding the resources we need as moms. Just because we call ourselves the warrior moms doesn't mean we have all the answers. And we're here to say everyone has a different season and a different role in each other's lives and in our peer group life. Now, no one would think that Nancy and I would have connected in the same business circles, but I mean, forced to be reckoned with. I have learned so much from she and her husband. And it is so important to know that when we meet people of character, we can lock arms and we can make life count. Now, I know we're ramping up to Mother's Day. Please reach out to a mom you might know that might be exhausted and need some encouragement. And we will keep this streak rolling with another interview tomorrow night. Remember, the Warrior Nation, your source for truth, transparency, and trust. Warriors, unite.